But in 1979 or maybe early 1980, I started doing programming at KCSB, and I was doing public affairs, politics, etc. And I was on my way to the station one day, and I heard something I hadn't heard for several years, except in our house, Cedric's and mine. And that was Fela. Fela was coming out over the radio waves at KCSB. And not much has been said about it today, but in addition to all the reggae, etc. that he played, he had, I'm told, I've never seen it, an incredible library of African music that he would bring every Sunday. I just want to say one more thing about Sundays, because on the one hand, we want to do praise songs all the time, but we want these young folks to know that not everybody comes fully equipped and behaving properly, etc., all the time. So there are a couple things I remember about Bernard. One, once I was in charge of much of the running of the station, I had to chase Bernard regularly to get his program proposal in. And something even more absurd, to do contract hours, which all programmers were required to do, like 5 or something, almost nothing. And to demand anything from Bernard, who gave so much, seems petty, but he was an important figure for other people to see and to understand that giving back was part of what you did, even at KCSB. So that was one thing. But hearing Fela was something that continued to resonate for me always with his programming. And almost every week I think we could count on hearing 1 or 2 pieces by Fela, who was known at the time I first heard him as Fela Ransom Kuti. He changed his name and elided the Portuguese in favor of, and I'm not going to pronounce it correctly,
Anikulapo.
Thank you, Anikulapo Kuti. And we rely on people in the audience often to do things like that. Thank you very much. So just 2 quick things, memories that were special to me, because I don't know Bernard and Lily's family. I've met Lily at the station. And I know some of the other of you from the newspapers, from your exploits. But we were like most people who do radio. Ships passing in the night. One of us comes in and the other one leaves. And so we didn't necessarily know each other well. And it was a long time before I really knew Bernard, I think. But there were 2 moments that I want to share because they are so much a part of who I found Bernard to be. One was, though I've known him since 1980, was in 2020, excuse me. There had just been announcements made that we were all to stay 6 feet apart from one another, preferably 10 feet apart, as COVID struck. And I was at Trader Joe's, I think, and buying things, probably was masks, maybe not yet. And up comes this man and runs up and embraces me. And I've never had COVID, so I think that was my immunization, my very first one. Dallas Riley did the same thing, the same period. Recognizing that human touch is so important to us, and that we have to somehow maintain it. it makes me sad every time I go someplace and they tell me there's a touchless way of checking in or out. Airports today, for example. Maybe it's necessary, maybe there are other ways to think about it. So that was one thing. The second thing was probably the longest time I ever spent with Bernard in one day was when we went down to LA for Brother Brown's services. Matthew Brown, for those of you who may not know him. Brother Brown did a gospel show on Sunday mornings, followed by Bernard doing ital sounds. And I don't know who to begin with, but right now I think for a while it was Martha Oleas. But mostly on the weekends, though we don't like to talk about this stuff, the weekends were dominated by programmers of color because the students really didn't want to come in on the weekends. And so in one way it was wonderful programming, in another way it was a little ghetto. And so it's one of the things we've worked, while I was working there, I'm not anymore, to change at KCSB, to make sure that it was a place for everybody. Anybody, my favorite version of radio is anybody who has something to say has a radio voice. And Bernard surely did. Some weeks he wouldn't say a word between music sets. He'd just be playing. And other days he would exhort us to be bold, to be as bold as he was, that things were amiss in our world as they are even now. And it has to do with race, it has to do, I'm going to say this here too, has to do with Palestine. We have to be bold enough to speak up sometime. And that was the other thing that Bernard would do. When things went really off the rails, you knew he was going to have something to say. My final thought is, I remember hearing the news from Winston, and the one thing that I don't know what happened to Bernard. I know I'm almost 10 years older than he is. I'm still here. But one thing I know is the man was all heart. And whatever else went on, it was not heart failure that took him from us. So all of you, I wish you the very best. It's a hard place to come to and from. But I'm glad to be here with you all today. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Next, we'll bring the Dallas Wiley.
Yes. First of all, I want to say my condolences to the Hicks. It's my girl right here. It's funny because I met Bernard when he moved down from Hartnell. Then a few months later, I was in the laundry room and I needed some change. It was Millie. So I really met them both at different times, and they both became like, you know, that's my girl, and Bernard's my boy, because like me and Bernard, a lot of people don't want to know, but I was a straight boy, straight up oppression, people being wrong, doing wrong with children. Bernard just didn't deal with that. It was funny because I got to be around, first it was Mo, then when each one of them was born, and when y'all was like 1 or 2 or 3, and dad, Bart, very attentive to his kids. Very attentive to his kids. And Lily was like just family. Both of them was just just like two peas in a pod, whatnot, when it came to eating good, hanging out, and family. And so me and Bernard got together, like I said, he was Hooper, and I was Hooper. I went to Blanco High, and he tore up his knee. And Bernard was passionate about basketball, and I was too, about doing it the right way, you know. And he was passionate about, like I said, what was going on in the world, oppression, right? He was telling me about growing up in New York, all the different communities, whatnot, and a cold jazz selection. I would go to you guys' house, music everywhere. So I went to KCSB out of Uncle when I was 73, so I was already into DJing. So I got a show, I think like 75 or 76, and somehow I got Bernard over there, and it was a wrap from there. Because like I said, yeah, I even right today, I play jazz music on my little Spotify because, you know, just hanging out with Bernard, and like I said, each one of the kids got that total attention as little babies, whatnot. So just to see all you guys now just strong and positive from a mom and dad like that, it's supposed to be flourishing. Well, I give thanks for that. I always tell Bernard, boy, he made me a better father, just hanging out with him and just doing things. But like I said, we was boys, we was like in our 20s, and we was like just trying to do our thing. So we was just hang out for hours and hours and just talking and hanging, and I know right now, like you guys, it's like the pain is bad. And it's something I can say is that over time, it gets better when you start thinking about all the great things, because I was in the car reading all these people here. Like I said, we was just good guys in our 20s fighting against apartheid and all the other stuff that was going on. And here we are now, we're in the computer age, and me and Bernard both tripped out. I said, man, you can do this show now at home. You don't even have to show all those records and stuff easily felt and whatnot. And Bernard just, man, I used to sit back and listen to his shows and whatnot, and he would go from the African music. And me and Millie and Bernard, we got our first complimentary tickets to the Bar Marley show in 79 and whatnot. So on the whole trek and whatnot, we got to interview Peter Tosh, Third World, Bunny Wailer, was at the Whiskey. Oh man, some days, it was so funny because I was interviewing all those people. We interviewed a group, Rastafaris in 81. So yeah, that was fine, you big bad DJ, but you broke. So I've been playing guitar and piano for the last 40 years, just from the time me and Bernard were sitting together. We was always searching for truth and rights, you know, because we brought us Christians, but we started, you know, the whole Rasta thing. We was just looking at God as black and melanated, you know, and not just how we was brought up. We was always searching. We was always searching on the diet. So we was just boys just going through, and like I said, and we went through and right today, you know, boy, broke my heart when I got the call that Bernard had transitioned on. But the spirit of Hicks, man, like I said, he would come out of New York, and since he was a student, he would be up in this room, I said, damn, who's this brother? And whatnot. And so like I said, we just rallied around just the love and then just a fierce attentiveness he placed with his children. That's what you know, took my mind. Then I look at all you guys now, bam! My brother needs some serious words. God says, you know, a man is known by the fruits, and you guys are the fruits. And Lily, my girl, like I said, I'm here for you forever. And I want to thank you because you're the one who got him to where he was today without you being there when he got sick. You know, so I wanted to let you know a man always needs a good woman because that keeps us alive. So just keep on living and keep on doing the thing and just being yourself. My boy Kari here, the rebel. Bernard always telling me, man, Kari's doing this, Kari's doing that. I said, who you learning from? You! He's a rebel, man. But like I said, him and Lily both, you know, just do what you need to do. And those loving parents, if you don't, you're going to feel the wrath. So that's how life is. And here and for thanking all of you guys for letting me be around you 1 and 2 and 3 and just show the love and the kindness and just keep on growing. And I love you and I respect you, and I want to say, you know, the pain is here and you just got to keep going because that's just life, you know. So, one love.
Lily and Bernard, two halves of a heart that beat as one. Lily, we love you and your family. Bernard encouraged me to be a reggae DJ for 10 years on KCSB. He inspired me to appreciate Rastafarian roots reggae, and we promoted and attended hundreds of concerts over the 40 years of our friendship. Bernard also introduced me to African music, which I later wrote about for the Santa Barbara Independent and the Ventura Reporter. My love for African music motivated me and my good friend Maurice Amy to start a TV show on public access TV called African Roots and Culture, where we played African music and dance videos from many countries. Like Bernard, we felt music was the way to break down stereotypes and dispel racism by showing the richness of music. Lastly, every Sunday Bernard was on the air. I could count on him to bring the healing vibes, the spiritual vibes, and sometimes some spoken word or political discourse addressing injustice in the world, something I will always treasure. The last time I heard something political on the show was when he played an excerpt from an interview with a woman from Gaza who was talking about the horrors heaped upon her people presently and in the past. I called Bernard and thanked him for keeping this conflict in the forefront long after U.S. media had ignored and forgotten it. We could always count on Bernard to tell us when enough was enough and make us see it is our responsibility to make this world a better place for all of us. Brother Bernard, Iriites.
And next we'll bring the healing audience.
I'm speaking on behalf of the Alla family today. Bear with me. Thank God. Thank you for the opportunity to connect with this family and our community. Going back to making when Bernard came into my life, I can't remember a time where I didn't have him. I grew up in the West Side Boys and Girls Club back when Bernard had the whole Brooklyn mural on the side of the wall. Went back there recently and it looks so much smaller now that I look back at it. But the word that comes to mind is gratitude, and I'm just so thankful. My dad, born and raised here, young, had 2 young kids who didn't know anything but basketball. So I was a little girl running around, I was little George, and people like Bernard took my dad under his wing and gave my dad a foundation that grew from basketball. But I am a product of the love of this community, and it's the shared love of basketball. So thank you. He's picked me up from school. He let me join boys league when there were no girls teams. He would rebound for me. He would give me his warm, loving, so much needed in a time where I was a little girl struggling to hug. So it was so much more to me than just a coach or a mentor. I had Uncle Earl and I had Uncle Bernard. So very grateful for having them in my life and the milestones, because I wouldn't be where I am today without them. So thank you. I think that the biggest thing that I want to end with today is just gratitude and thankfulness. Bernard lives on in the values he instilled and the lives he touched and the community he helped build. So today, even in our grief, we honor a life that made a lasting impact. Thank you for teaching me the word resilience. Thank you for wiping my tears when boys would knock me down. Thank you for helping me stand up for myself and speak up for myself in a time where no one taught me. To stand up for myself. Thank you for being an inspiration. Thank you for the laughter. Thank you for the big smile and the love. We promise to carry out your name in honor. Rest easy, Coach. You gave us the best, and because of you, we'll keep striving to give ours. The legacy of having a heart of service will be lived out every single day as I coach, and hopefully as I learn how to have my little one of my own. You will be missed. Thank you.
And now we'll have a reading of the obituary by our Hicks.
Good afternoon, everybody. I also want to give thanks and praise to the Most High for the time that we had with my dad, the experience that we had to share, not only as a family, but also as a community with everybody in here. He would be happy to see everybody here. This smile face that you see on this picture is a smile that he would have on his face right now. And I want to thank Joseph Moore and the TP staff for allowing us to have this here. I want to thank everybody for coming down, showing me love and support. It means a lot to our family. I want to thank everybody who cooked home cooked meals for us, gave us gift cards, came and said hello. It went a long way. Being here is only right. There's a lot of good memories here in this gym, from my brother Mo playing here, to myself, to my little brother Jelani, my little sister Noni got her feet wet here a little bit. My older sister played for San Marcos, so she was a rival team playing here. My sons played for San Marcos, so they were a rival team playing here for their uncle Jelani. As Julian said, Higgins run around in the hallways. But while they were there running around in the hallways, it was his brother JT, his brother Jason, myself, Anthony, was on this court making all around to the CIF championship. We didn't win, but it was a good run. It was a good run, so there's a lot of memories here. I don't know, as proud as we were to be his kids, there was a lot of moments here that we were able to also make him proud. So thank you to everybody for being here. Bernard Edward Hicks peacefully departed this life surrounded by family on Friday, May 16, 2025 in Santa Barbara, California at the age of 73. Bunny, as he was affectionately called by his mother, was born June 26, 1951 in Brooklyn, New York, to the late James Isaac Hicks and Mary Terry Hicks. He was one of 5 children. After high school, Bernard moved to Salinas, California to play basketball and attend Hartnell College. During this time, he met his love of over 50 years, Hannah Lily Hicks, our mother. They got married and started a family in Gilroy, California, before moving to Santa Barbara, where he attended UCSB. Bernard was a family man first and foremost. Together, he and Lily raised 5 children: Maurice, Aisha, Kari, Noni, and Jelani. In the 1970s, Bernard began hosting his innovative and iconic show, High Top Sounds, on KCSB. There he shared his love for reggae, African, jazz, and soul music for almost 50 years up until his death. He was known for selecting songs that touched the human spirit and educated his listeners by sharing meaningful and thought-provoking music. Bernard, also known as Coach Hicks or Coach Vernon, absolutely loved coaching basketball and did so for over 5 decades. This is where you can This is where you could experience his powerful balance of patience, encouragement, discipline, and positive energy. This is where you could also hear him with his catchphrases. Who you got? Pressure, pressure, and everybody gets somebody. There's another one also that we left out, which was, find yours, find yours. All phrases that if you've been coached by him, you'll likely have that ingrained in your bones. He also coached youth soccer. And you already know, he didn't know nothing about soccer. But he did it anyway. He had already built a relationship with those kids. He loved them, they loved him, and he was gonna make sure that they got to go out to those soccer matches on the weekends, whether he knew the rules or not. And I know along the way, all the kids in the West Side taught him the game of soccer while he was coaching at the same time. I remember he used to tell me, they just tell me it's just like basketball, but just with your feet. And I know some of those kids went on to play college soccer, so it was a big success for the community. He made a huge impact on the youth and disadvantaged through his volunteerism and employment at the Leader West Side and Downtown Boys and Girls Club. He was a natural and humble leader of great character. Bernard was a lifelong learner. One of his favorite pastimes was reading the newspaper. His knowledge was boundless, covering an impressive range of topics. He seemed to know it all and was a captivating storyteller. You can find him around town frequently in the local farmers markets, grocery stores, riding his bike, or attending a reggae concert. He also had a passion for cooking. He enjoyed playing tennis with friends, children, and grandchildren. Always staying active, he umpired for baseball leagues and refereed basketball games and soccer matches for a period of time. Whenever you encountered Bernard, you were greeted with his big, bright smile. He had a remarkable gift of connecting and building relationships with people. It only took one interaction before quickly becoming friends. He had an infectious spirit and personality. To know him was to love him. Bernard will be remembered for his calm demeanor, warm laugh, kindness, service, wisdom, patience, understanding, graciousness, and gratitude to his Creator. He was preceded in death by his parents, James and Mary, and his brothers, Walter Speedy, Dr. James Hicks, and Uncle Floyd Hicks, Karen and his sister Julia Spratton. He is survived by his wife Lily, his sons Maurice, Kari, Jelani, daughters Aisha, Meredith, Ephraim, Scott, and known grandchildren Isaiah, married to Brenda, Isaac, Julian, Malila, Amelia, Ephraim, and the newest addition to the family, his great-grandson Josiah, and host nieces, nephews, cousins, and close friends. Thank you again for everybody for coming out and showing love. We miss you, Dad. Love you.
Thank you, everyone.
Blessings and love, and my deepest condolences to all friends and family. Bernard planted a seed with his Sunday service for so many years and gave the sound of positivity and spirituality that so many in this community craved and tuned into as their way of uplifting on those Sundays. I grew up listening to Bernard, and Fast forward many years later, the honor of being able to continue the sound and be inspired by him is something that is an extreme privilege. On behalf of everyone at KCSB and our whole radio family, he will truly be missed. And it's been an honor to have been able to know him and follow. Bernard came to this community at the right time to spread the love through his platform. And we give thanks. Peace and love coming in and going out.